What's going on, everybody? C4 here, and welcome back to today's video where we are going to look at the top 5 features I still want to see in Madden 20's franchise mode. This is going to be more so franchise mode related because I've talked about some of the news that's already dropped about Madden 20's franchise mode, the face of the franchise, in franchise mode itself, the scenario engine, some of the nice new features that they added. But, they definitely haven't leaked everything. There's usually 3, 4, 5 page write-up. That's what we got last year in terms of franchise mode, and right now we got about a page. So I still think there's some small things. Right now they've just leaked or dropped the big back of the box feature. That's a big buzzword that they use when they talk about franchise mode. So there's gonna be 5 things we're gonna go through that I think still have a legitimate shot to be in Madden 20 that we just haven't found out yet. And ultimately, I want you guys to drop what you want to see in Madden 20 that's realistically still an option. I might have an opportunity to potentially pass on some information that could be valuable to Madden 20. I mean, I got enough clout, I think, on Twitter that my voice can be heard. So if you guys have some really strong feelings about what should be in this game, as long as it's coherent and realistic enough, I'm going to try my best to find a way, find an avenue to pass on that information to the powers that be and try to make Madden 20 as good as it possibly can. So starting at feature number 1, I need to just open it up with the fact that coaching carousel is not in the game, and I'm highly skeptical. It's not in the game because the features that got released right now are the back of the box features, and if coaching carousels was in it, it would be dropped by now. They would have put that along with the scenario engine because it's debatably even a bigger feature than the scenario engine. So how can we kind of turn this into what Madden has done historically over the last couple of years? The last couple of years, they've slowly built towards big features. You could argue that long shot was slowly building towards the superstar mode that we're going to have in Madden 20, which hopefully the Madden 20 superstar mode is going to build to a superstar mode that's going to make the vast majority of players very, very excited. But when we talk about new things that get implemented in Madden, we always kind of say it's a building block process. They're not going to just add a full-on mode. They're going to slowly add pieces to a mode every single year to keep the consumers buying, and I get that model. So if we're not going to have a full-on coaching carousel that's similar to what we had in NCAA, which, Madden, they always try to come out and say that they're trying to get the top community features in the game. And I understand that, but I think without a shadow of a doubt, the number 1 community feature was adding coaching carousel, and the fact that it hasn't been added is pretty damn frustrating. So how could they maybe start to get the building blocks for this? Well, here we go. I'm going to try to explain it. First up, if we just look at what's available in franchise mode right now, just start tuning the XP boost and get similar XP boost to what we had in NCAA. So it actually means something. Right now we got punter and special team boost and positional renegotiating and retirement boost to try to get guys to come back an extra year. Like, that should be one single XP boost. Not one for every single position, but you should just have a trait that costs a lot. Make these things cost more so they're harder to achieve. Just general retirement. You can talk players out of retirement. I feel like, why is there positional specialty to retirement? Or why is there positional specialty when it comes to renegotiating? You're either a good negotiator or you're not. Why does positional mean anything whatsoever? It just feels like almost like RNG, in your favorite games with loot boxes, they always put a bunch of stuff like stickers and emblems and stuff that you don't want when really you just want the gun skin or the new gun. That's what it kind of feels like when you look at these XP boosts that are available in franchise mode. There's just so much stuff that you don't need. Like, the only thing good right now is the positional boost when you are trying to develop players, and it's far too easy. I can buy all those if I have, say 4 mediocre years in my franchise mode. So those need to be more expensive. They need to make the XP mean something. They should make the XP feel like, as you progress along your coach career, you're starting to, you're starting to grow a character. You're starting to develop strengths and weaknesses, not just be generally good at everything. So how this could kind of, go into coordinators is adding boosts that we saw in the coaching carousel, even if it's just for your main coach. You can have it so you can build and specialize your team to how you want your coach to be. So swap out all the XP boosts and stuff like that for retirements and negotiating and stuff. Make that one singular boost, but then you can have stuff like, power backs. If you want to unlock this perk, it'll cost you 4,000 or 5,000 XP, and then every running back and fullback on your roster will get like +3 or +4 trucking, or just something like little things like that can go through all of the different positions. That is a lot more value in giving us kind of what we want in the coaching carousel right away within the feature that is currently established in Madden. Simply just redoing the boosts that are currently available will give us that feeling of kind of having a coaching carousel, and it would be a good building block towards next year in Madden 21 when hopefully coaching carousel is implemented. Another thing is like, you know, the whole authenticity thing. If that was the argument why coaching carousel wasn't added because they don't have the agreement with the coaching union, fine, I guess. But the most famous coach in football, the most famous coach that should be in Madden is not available. It's a generic guy instead of Bill Belichick. You know, you look at in the offseason if you're the owner, you have your medical staff and your scouts. All those guys are absolutely generic. So I feel like authenticity is not really a breaking point in coaching carousel when a couple of the famous coaches in the game, especially the most famous coach, is generic, and then your medical and scouting staffs are completely generic. Kind of seems like maybe an easy way out to not adding in coordinators and coaching carousel. Going to top 5 feature number 2, we have historical stat tracking. Just quickly touching base on this, I'd say after coaching carousel is probably the number 1 feature people want. I mean, it was a feature that was in Madden years past. It adds immersion to lengthy franchise mode. Say you're 25 years into your franchise, being able to look back at where you started, what awards have been won where, that's awesome. I feel like that would help with the immersion, a very good quality of life feature. Also, something could be similar to the team records in NCAA. So you can compete for and against your own team historically for single game, single season, and single career records. Like, for example, the Philadelphia Eagles have never had a 4,000-yard passer. So it'd be pretty dope to see all the top 10 passers in Eagles history so that when I eventually beat it with Carson Wentz, he's going to show up there on that list and however many times I beat it over in the future. Going to number 3 is going to be Fog of War. That was the scouting and general franchise mode improvement from NHL series that I thought Madden franchise desperately needed to adopt. Doesn't look like that made the case because it probably would have been, you know, dropped in the quick blog about features. But as long as we can get some elements into franchise mode that we slowly progress towards adding a full-on Fog of War, that's pretty good. And they've already hinted at something kind of similar to this with the when you draft a rookie, you're not going to find out their dev trait right away. That's very Fog of War-y, which is giving me more confidence that some of the things we're talking about in this video, it's all a process. They're all slowly putting, you know, pieces of the puzzle together to get that finished product. So, you know, the Fog of War elements essentially is you don't give the user full access to player ratings. It makes it that much more difficult, and you have to be that much more strategic when it comes to free agency and the draft, as you have to delegate within a certain points budget how much you're going to scout throughout the year, what players you know are going to be impending free agents that you might want to bring into your team. They're not just going to spoon feed you, you know, all their stats, what their dev trait is. You're going to have to go and figure that out yourself. And while that feature would be awesome in a franchise mode, I kind of understand why it's not. Because, you know, Madden has an identity crisis. Is it a casual game or is it a game that they want for the true Madden fan? Because if for a casual fan, they're not going to want to spend the time to learn about the Fog of War and all the mechanics and get good at it. You know, if Madden Ultimate Team's a prime example of that. That's why they make so much money in Madden Ultimate Team, because players don't want to put in the work and grind. They just want that instant access to everything. So, while I think Fog of War would be awesome, while I think it's exactly what the Madden franchise mode gets, until Madden kind of identifies where they want to take this series, it's, you know, it's unlikely that that is going to be included. But I hope the success. It seems like it's a resounding success in the NHL series. And, you know, the fact that we've already hinted at the dev traits, which is very Fog of War-ish, hopefully there's a couple more of those features that are going to be implemented into franchise mode that we'll find out in the future. So point number 4 is kind of tailing off of this Fog of War and the whole identity crisis for Madden. It's just all-out sliders. Everything that's behind the hood right now for Madden franchise mode, make that available to the public so we can tune the game to our ideal preference. The reason why I'm linking it with the Fog of War is ultimately just add a big difficulty slider for how you want your franchise mode to be. Very similar to what happens in FIFA franchise. In FIFA franchise, when you start with your coach, you can go on rookie difficulty where you can just make absurd contracts, absurd signings, your seasonal objectives. Everything is cupcake. It is very, very casual friendly. But you also could select at the beginning world class, which means you're going to have very little money to spend on players. Your objectives are incredibly strict, and it generally makes the franchise mode experience that much more realistic. So it's something that's incredibly prevalent, maybe even a pillar, a building block, a integral piece of FIFA's franchise mode that definitely needs to get adopted into Madden, while I believe this franchise continues to have an identity crisis. Offer the best of both worlds. If you want a casual experience, here you go. If you want a more authentic experience that will let the devs really dive in and add some, you know, intricate features into franchise mode, have that option available as well. It's, you know, off the top of my head, it sounds like a lot. It sounds like you'd be asking for a lot of work to go into it, but ultimately, it's done in FIFA every single year. Probably wouldn't be overly difficult to implement in Madden. Another thing is just with the sliders, XP sliders that can be imported. If you want to do gameplay sliders, you can just simply download the top community ones and import them at the beginning of all your franchises. But they don't have that available for XP. Every time I do a rebuild or franchise mode, I have to manually do my XP sliders. It takes a bunch of time. Very, very annoying. So that'd be a quality of life improvement. And lastly, regression sliders. The regression system was horrendous in Madden 19. I mean, you'd have, 32-year-old Adrian Peterson. I remember we did the revival for his career. We were second MVP voting, and the next season he regressed from 84 to like a 78, had like high 70 speed. He was completely unusable. Like if Tom Brady didn't exist in real life, but you looked at his career within the scope of Madden, there's no chance in hell he'd be high 90s. He'd be like 83 at best right now. So to be able to customize the regression sliders so that you get a more authentic experience for the user, I think would be huge for the team to add into franchise mode. And then finishing up at number 5, relocation franchises. I mean, there was that interview that guy did on Reddit with Rex Dixon, and he basically came out and kind of dispelled the myth that because of the exclusivity contract between NFL and Madden, they can't add more relocation cities or create a team. So if that is true, I mean, why aren't we seeing more cities added into the relocation option? It's incredibly cut and paste every single year. I'm going to state right now, if there is no changes, if it's the exact same team, city, colors, logos, it's unacceptable. It'd be completely unacceptable because it's been the exact same for like, the last 3 years. You've had some weird little Las Vegas thing that was kind of half-assed. And other than that, it's the same relocation teams. I think this is an incredibly popular feature in franchise mode. If you're not doing a franchise with your favorite team or a realistic rebuild kind of style thing, you're most likely trying to relocate your own franchise and do your own thing. They should have the analytics that backs this up. So, I mean, even if you're not going to add more cities, even if you're going to keep the cities exactly the same as what we had, at the very least, add new logos, new uniforms, new color schemes, something that at least makes it feel a little bit different from year to year. And that seems like incredibly low effort. For the amount of people that want to chop in and say, oh my God, the Madden devs are the worst on the planet. They always try to do half-ass stuff. Like, that's literally half-assing it, and that would be a bigger improvement than what we've had over the last couple years. So, if you can't add cities, maybe there is something that you can only have X amount of cities, at the very least, add new logos, add new uniforms, new color schemes, so it at least feels a little bit different for, at the very least, us franchise YouTubers, for God's sakes. And I mean, if you wanted to expand that and do expansion franchises, adding a couple more teams, you'd probably have to add like 8, so you could have one new team per division or something like that. That'd be pretty dope, but I don't really know the logistics behind it. So those are my big 5 features. I have a couple quick ones I'm going to throw out as we wrap the video up. First up, PC files need to carry over 100%. All the PC files from Madden 19 should and have to work with Madden 20. It makes no sense why it wouldn't, because everything's, it's still the same game. Everything's online. You can go behind the scenes, like drag and drops files. Like, that should work. If it doesn't, that means Madden went out of their way to make sure they didn't work, which would be very dumb. Draft class randomizer would be nice for those of us that create draft classes to kind of be surprised when we do the drafts. 5th-year options on first-round draft picks would go nice into the realism effect. Scouting would be nice if it's freshened up, not just copy and pasted from the last couple years. 32 team control, aka commissioner mode, would be also pretty fun. So you can just right out the bat control all 32 teams, which would be a nice way if you feel like the AI is very bad in franchise mode to kind of mitigate that a little bit, because you control every single team. So there you go, guys. Those are my top 5 features that I want to see in Madden 20. But again, I can't stress enough. Let me know. Make a coherent post that I can look at and tell me what you want to see realistically that still could be done before the release of Madden 20. And I'll try my best to see whatever I can do with that and take it as far as I can. Thank you guys for watching. As always, if your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.